I think you don't think the way you think, you think. And let me illustrate that. Think about these late night advertorials. They follow a fixed pattern. They seem to be never ending. Somebody is shown using a product and is extremely frustrated with it. So if they want to show somebody using a vacuum cleaner, they'll show it like this. And then he uses the product which is on sale, and it appears to be a breeze. That is followed by some breathless endorsements by his friends. So his friend comes in and says, "Oh, John, I'm so excited. I got this new product. My life has changed." Then a few celebrity endorsements. And then, most vital thing, a call to action line. So the call to action line of a particular advertorial was, "Operators are waiting. Please call now." A lady called Colleen Zott changed just 3 words there. She made it, "If operators are busy, please call again." Now, plenty of chief executives, plenty of sales heads, plenty of marketing guys would say, "What's going on? How can you use that line? It sounds so unprofessional. We're saying if operators are busy." What do you mean operators are busy? Don't you have enough operators? And we're not even telling them that we'll call them back. We're saying you call us back. Now that's conventional thinking. That's thinking by people who do not understand invisible selling. Because what is happening is when people read the line, "Operators are waiting, please call now," they imagine a bunch of operators lazing around. But when they see this line, "If operators are busy, please call again," they imagine operators being on the phones and truckloads of the products being shipped. Now, why should that make a difference? Why should truckloads of products being shipped make a person buy a product? Now, what's happening is people's brains are getting overwhelmed. People's brains are being hit with 11 million bits of information per second. They obviously can't process all that consciously because they don't have the capacity. They manage to process just about 50 bits of information per second. For the rest of the information, they make shortcuts. So this is a shortcut used by the brain. It's called social proof. I prefer to call it the copycat syndrome. So if lots of products are being shipped, then it must be a good product. If it's a good product, then I should buy it. That's the shortcut thinking that's going on. And if you were to talk to these people who've bought products because of that reason, they will never admit it. They will vehemently deny that they have bought a product because it's popular, and they will tell you that they bought it because of the merit of the product and such rational factors. So people who don't understand how the subconscious brain influences people could become, well, invisible. So welcome to Invisible Selling. Let me tell you 3 critical things about invisible selling before I give you 5 strategies on invisible selling that you could start implementing right now, wherever you are. So first of all, what is invisible selling? Invisible selling is the science of selling without selling. It's the science of selling by understanding how the unconscious brain works. And some of you are probably thinking, why do I need a TEDx talk on the unconscious brain? Didn't Sigmund Freud talk about the unconscious brain decades ago? Didn't so many motivational speakers talk about the unconscious brain? Well, they did, but most of what they came across, or most of what they communicated, does not stand up to scientific scrutiny. The strategies that I'm about to share with you are tried and tested strategies, and they are products of the latest research. The second critical thing about invisible selling is that it is completely counterintuitive, as you've seen in this example. You will never understand invisible selling by yourself, by intuition, by introspection. You will only understand it if you get information about it from a third source, like this talk, or by doing a lot of experimentation yourself. And the third thing about invisible selling is that it is urgent, and that was a very timely phone call. It's probably a sales call. Daniel Pink, a Stanford psychologist and author of the book To Sell is Human, says that we are bombarded with 400 messages per day on an average. And if you think about the number of messages you got yesterday on WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and LinkedIn, you may tend to think that he's an underestimator. Now, if you're getting 400 messages a day, it's impossible for you to analyze each and every message for its rationality, for its merit, for its logic. So you are going to judge plenty of those incoming messages subconsciously. So let me give you 5 strategies that you can start using immediately. The first strategy is simplicity itself. Psychologists like to call it cognitive fluency. Simple, but very, very powerful. If the name of your product is simple, you will sell more. If your product is easy to use, you will sell more. Sounds very simple to understand, but there are lots of people in the marketplace who are making the fatal mistake of ignoring this rule. Daniel Oppenheimer and Adam Atler conducted an experiment with stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. They took a sample of 89 stocks, looked at the top 10 stocks with the easiest to pronounce names, compared their performances over various time periods with 10 stocks with the worst names. And across all time periods, the stocks with the easy to pronounce names did much better. That's research. Let me give you an anecdotal evidence. If I were to ask you, what is the name given to Keanu Reeves by Morpheus in the movie The Matrix? You'll get an answer immediately in your head. The second question is, what's the name of Morpheus' ship in The Matrix? Slightly more difficult. So the answer to the first one is Neo. The answer to the second one is Nebuchadnezzar. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? The second strategy that I'm going to suggest is free. Now, some of you are probably again thinking, oh, I know about this strategy. I know that people get attracted to stuff that's free. But I'm pretty sure you may not know about how powerful this strategy is and how to use it in business. So let me share with you how powerful it is. And this is from the work of Dan Ariely, probably one of the best, one of the most brilliant psychologists alive today. There was an experiment done where 2 types of chocolates were being sold. One was Hershey's, and the other was Lindt chocolates. Hershey's chocolates were priced at 1 cent a chocolate. Lindt chocolates were priced at 15 cents a chocolate. The important point is the price differential was 14 cents. Plenty of people were invited to buy the chocolates. 70%, 70% of the people bought Lindt chocolates, and the rest bought Hershey's chocolates, in spite of the price differential being 14 cents. They were paying 14 cents more for Lindt versus Hershey's. Now, a very simple thing was done. The prices of both were dropped by 1 cent. So Hershey's now becomes free, and Lindt now becomes 14 cents. Now, rationally speaking, there should be absolutely no change in buyer behavior because the price differential is still 14 cents. But the buyer behavior shockingly was absolutely the opposite. 70% of the people now went in for the free offer, and only 30% went in for Lindt. Absolutely counterintuitive, isn't it? So how do you use free in your business? I'll just give you 2 quick hints. One is never offer your core product for free. The minute you offer your core product for free, you're building up an expectation with your client to expect all future products for free. So it's also known as the anchoring effect. The second point is when you're offering something for free, always mention the value of that free product. So people don't think you're just moving your dead inventory. So I'm going to share some more strategies with you for free. And the next strategy is, again, very simple. At the same time, it's very powerful. It's called fatigue. Sell to people when they're fatigued. Rational thinking, logical thinking, analysis, evaluating you as an employee, evaluating a product or service on its merits is very, very energy consuming. And people who have used up that energy in the morning or in the afternoon have less of it in the evening. So they're less likely to challenge you on your claims if you're meeting them when you're fatigued. Why do you think we're doing this TEDx talk at this time? Which brings me to the next strategy. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect. There's a well-known psychologist called Bluma Zeigarnik. She was having lunch with her colleagues at a restaurant, and there were lots of people. There was a restaurant waiter who was particularly skilled, and he had a fantastic memory. So he did not write anything down, but he remembered exactly who had ordered what and delivered the orders flawlessly. So they were extremely impressed with him. They talked about him. After they left the restaurant, Bluma realized that she had forgotten something. She thought it would be a whiz. All she has to do is go back and talk to this waiter, and her job will get done. And she was absolutely confounded when the waiter seemed confused after looking at her. He had no clue who she was. And she started analyzing this phenomenon. She says, what's going on? This guy had such a fantastic memory, and he doesn't even know me. I was just at his restaurant a few minutes ago. So the concept is that till they were clients in his restaurant, he had an incentive to remember lots of stuff about them because his transaction with them was not complete. Once all the transactions were completed, all the chapters were closed, they're out of the restaurant, he had no incentive to remember them. So that's the concept. If there is something incomplete in your life, it tends to pop up subconsciously. And you tend to be worried about it, you tend to think about it. That's why movie trailers, now I wonder where that noise is coming from, because that's again playing on my subconscious. I want to know where it's coming from. So that's why movie trailers, especially the well-designed ones, manage to sell the movies very, very well. One of the best ways to ensure that you get good sales in a movie is to ensure that you give a lot of attention to the trailer. If your trailer is good, it'll show the audience the best scenes, and the audience now wants to finish the picture. They wonder, okay, this is a fantastic scene, I wonder what happened before it and after it. And you will draw people to the theaters or to see your movie. So I want to wrap up about the Zeigarnik Effect with 2 points. One is, it helps to leave out some significant portion in your communication. It gets people to chase you because they want to complete the picture. And the second thing is, on second thoughts, I'll tell you later. Which brings us to the last strategy, short and simple. It's called because. Using the word because in your communication as often as possible is going to boost your sales. Because it's very powerful. There was an experiment done where there were lots of people waiting in a queue to get photocopies. A lady walks in, she wants to jump the queue, and she addresses all the people in the queue. She says, can I jump the queue? I got to make photocopies. Because I got to make photocopies. And 60% of the people, 60% of the people were willing to let her jump the queue just because she said, can I jump the queue? Because I got copies to make. I mean, that's what everybody was there for. They were not there for playing football. So it just doesn't make any sense rationally. So the reason behind it is, when you were a kid, your mother told you, stop playing and do your homework. And you probably said, why? And she said, because I said so. So because is anchored with authority that cannot be questioned. And that's playing in people's subconscious minds, even when they're adults. So please use because is a very powerful word. So I'm going to leave you with a parting shot. I'm going to use a strategy, an invisible selling strategy, in the parting shot, but I'm not going to tell you anything about the strategy. So my parting line to you is, thank you for watching this talk. I realize you had other options.